Before we dive in, let me leave you with a truth that echoes across every chapter in human history. Nothing we are began in silence. Every civilization, every story, every ancestor left a trail of wisdom waiting to be rediscovered. What you are about to hear is a part of a legacy, preserved, decoded, and brought back to the forefront. I'm OG Mooney. Welcome to AI Legacy Lab.
The story of YoungBoy Never Broke Again is one of steady, relentless forward motion. His journey begins in Baton Rouge, a place that didn't offer much in the way of comfort or stability. This environment wasn't a backdrop that suddenly changed. It was the constant reality he woke up to every single day. From these early years, a powerful focus on survival, responsibility, and expression started to take shape within him. This wasn't a dramatic awakening. It was a slow, gradual hardening, like a path worn into the earth by countless steps. He navigated his childhood with challenges that were always there, a persistent hum in the background of his life. These experiences didn't hit him in waves. They were a continuous current that shaped his mindset, building a foundation of resilience piece by piece. When music entered his life, it wasn't a sudden escape or a desperate grab for a lifeline. Instead, he held on to it with a calm, determined grip. It became a tool, a steady outlet that allowed him to process the world around him, not in explosive bursts of creativity, but as a continuous stream of thought and feeling. Music was his way of making sense of a life that was unfolding step by step, without any grand turning points or sudden revelations. He approached it with the same practicality he approached everything else. It was a necessary part of his daily routine, like breathing. This calm, methodical approach to his craft would become the very essence of his artistic identity. As he started recording his first songs, the visuals that accompanied them were a direct reflection of his world. There was no manufactured gloss or cinematic fantasy. The settings were simple, familiar, and unadorned. Everyday neighborhoods, local spots, and the faces of people from his community. The black and white color schemes in many of his early videos weren't just an aesthetic choice. They mirrored the stark, straightforward reality he lived. These visuals didn't try to elevate or dramatize his life. They grounded it, showing the same steady, unbroken rhythm that flowed through his music. He wasn't telling a story of rags to riches. He was documenting the here and now, the raw, unfiltered present. The music he released grew organically from these surroundings. Each track was another page in a diary, another observation from his window. He wasn't chasing trends or trying to fit into a mold. His sound was his own, born from the consistent tone and emotional honesty he maintained day in and day out. There were no dramatic peaks or valleys in his output, just a constant, reliable flow of music. This consistency started to resonate with people who recognized the authenticity. They heard the uninterrupted stream of emotion he was sharing, and it felt real because it was. It wasn't a persona. It was just him. His following didn't explode overnight. It grew at a pace that mirrored the steady nature of his work. Listeners found him, one by one, connecting with the clear, direct voice that cut through the noise. They weren't drawn in by a viral moment or a massive marketing campaign. They were drawn in by the sheer volume and consistency of his output. He was always there, always creating, always sharing another piece of his story. This slow burn built a foundation of loyalty that was incredibly strong. Fans felt like they were growing with him, witnessing his journey in real time. As his presence expanded online, he didn't change his approach. He continued to create with the same grounded focus that had defined him from the very beginning. The connection he built with his fans was direct and personal. They understood his calm, unfiltered, and continuous approach to storytelling because they had been there from the start. They appreciated that he wasn't putting on a show. He was simply documenting his life through his art, and in doing so, he gave a voice to their own experiences. This wasn't just about entertainment. It was about recognition and shared understanding. This slow and steady rise is how YoungBoy began to shape one of the most dedicated fan bases in modern music. There were no sudden explosions of fame or sharp industry-manufactured transitions. It was a gradual accumulation of work, trust, and connection. His success was built on persistence, honesty, and a constant, uninterrupted flow of expression. He showed that you don't always need a dramatic narrative to capture the world's attention. Sometimes the most powerful story is the one that's told consistently, day after day, with unwavering truth. The loyalty of his fan base is a direct result of this method. They don't just consume his music. They defend it, they champion it, and they feel a part of it. This is because he never presented himself as anything other than who he was. From the very beginning, his art has been a reflection of a life lived with a steady, unbroken focus. He wasn't just making songs. He was building a world, a community, and a legacy one track at a time. The continuous stream of music became a lifeline for his listeners, a constant presence in their own lives. His work ethic is legendary, but it's not born from a frantic need to stay relevant. It comes from a deeper place, a need to document, to process, and to communicate. It's the same rhythm he's had since his earliest days in Baton Rouge. This constant output ensures that his story is always evolving, always being told in the present tense. His fans don't have to wait for an album every few years to know what's set on his mind. They get updates in real time through every new release. This creates an incredibly intimate and dynamic relationship between artist and audience. Even as his fame has reached astronomical heights, that core element of steady, grounded creation remains. He has maintained his unfiltered voice, his prolific output, and his direct line to the people who listen. The story of YoungBoy Never Broke Again isn't about the destination. It's about the journey, a long, continuous road he has walked with determination and an unwavering commitment to his truth. And it's that slow, steady, and unbroken path that has made him one of the most compelling and important artists of his generation. When we talk about the meteoric rise of artists in the music industry, we often picture a carefully crafted journey, a path paved with strategic single releases, polished music videos, and a marketing machine that works tirelessly to build an image. But every now and then, a force emerges that shatters this mold. An artist whose growth is so explosive, so unpredictable, and so deeply rooted in raw authenticity that it defies all industry norms. This is the story of YoungBoy Never Broke Again. His career didn't just rise, it erupted. From the very beginning, YoungBoy's approach was different. While record labels were busy pushing perfectly packaged stars, he was in a league of his own, operating at a pace that no traditional industry structure could ever hope to match. He wasn't waiting for permission or for the perfect moment. He was creating constantly. Track after track, video after video, he flooded the streets and the internet with his sound. And it wasn't just the quantity that was staggering. It was the quality, the emotional consistency. Every song carried the same raw, unfiltered weight, the same distinct cadence that became his signature. It was the sound of a young man navigating battles far beyond his years, and he wasn't hiding any of it. His presence on YouTube became the stuff of legend. Long before most artists even finished planning their promotional rollouts, YoungBoy's videos were rocketing into the millions. Then tens of millions of views. This wasn't a manufactured viral moment. It was a genuine, organic connection happening in real time. His fans didn't gravitate towards him because he was a flawless, untouchable icon. It was the opposite. They connected with him because he was imperfect, and he owned his imperfections with a brutal honesty that was both rare and magnetic. He rapped about fear, loss, loyalty, betrayal, and love without any filters, without any facades. This vulnerability wasn't a weakness. It was his superpower. As his fame exploded, so did the challenges. Legal issues, public controversies, and the constant glaring spotlight of scrutiny followed him relentlessly. For many, this level of pressure will be a career-ending catastrophe. It would mean stepping back, going silent, and waiting for the storm to pass. But YoungBoy wasn't like many. Instead of slowing down, he accelerated. He channeled every ounce of pain, every headline, every legal document into his art. The pressure became his fuel, the turmoil his inspiration. He famously recorded from home, under house arrest, turning his confinement into a creative sanctuary. The videos from this era are iconic in their own right, not set in glossy, rented mansions, but surrounded by the people and the environments that reflected his reality. It wasn't a manufactured version of the streets. It was the world he carried with him from Baton Rouge. This process transformed his music into something more than just entertainment. It became a form of public therapy, a confession, and a raw testament to survival. This unparalleled honesty forged a bond with his listeners that felt almost spiritual. They weren't just fans. They were witnesses to his journey, feeling every triumph and every setback alongside him. While other artists were busy polishing their public image, curating their social media feeds to project perfection, YoungBoy was laying his flaws bare for the world to see. He showed his scars, and in doing so, he gave his audience the courage to face their own. That transparency, that radical honesty, became the foundation of his unshakable power. But the path was never easy. With every step forward, it seemed another obstacle would appear, whether it was in his personal relationships, his ongoing legal battles, or the court of public opinion. The storms were constant, the waves of adversity relentless. Yet, through it all, one thing remained unwavering: his creative output. He continued to release music at a pace that left the entire industry in awe, a pace unmatched by nearly anyone. He proved, time and time again, that his creativity wasn't dependent on peace or comfort. It didn't need a calm environment to flourish. It needed only one thing: truth. And it was this unwavering commitment to his truth, in all its messy, complicated, and painful glory, that made him an unstoppable force. He became an artist who refused to let his circumstances define his ceiling, who showed a generation that your voice is most powerful when it's unapologetically your own. As YoungBoy moved into the next era of his life, his career took on a new shape, defined less by the noise around him and more by the growth within him. With time, he began seeking distance from the chaos that once surrounded him, choosing quieter environments, new locations, and smaller circles. He started focusing on healing the emotional wounds that had shaped so much of his early music. This wasn't about escaping his past, but about understanding it and finding a way to build a future that wasn't dictated by old pain. It was a conscious decision to step away from the storm and find a center, a place of stability where he could breathe and reflect. This shift was profound. It showed a maturity that many people never expected. A desire for peace that ran deeper than the public persona of conflict and drama. He was building a new foundation, not just for his career, but for his life. Yet, even in this self-imposed isolation, his influence continued to stretch across the entire landscape of modern rap. You could hear it everywhere. His raw, unfiltered delivery, his intense emotional vulnerability, and his relentless work ethic became a blueprint for a new generation of artists. Many of them grew up not just listening to his music, but studying it. They absorbed his style, his cadence, and his approach to storytelling, adopting these elements into their own artistic identities. He became a modern symbol of survival, resilience, and unapologetic self-expression. He was a living reminder that greatness can emerge from places the world often chooses to ignore, that a difficult start doesn't define your entire journey. His story resonated with millions who saw their own struggles reflected in his music. This connection with his audience fostered an incredible loyalty. His fan base grew even more dedicated, standing by him through every storm, every headline, every legal battle. They didn't need the traditional industry machine to validate his art. They pushed his music to the top of the charts organically, through sheer passion and belief. This wasn't just about streaming numbers. It was a movement. His fans felt a personal stake in his success because his music had been a soundtrack to their own lives. They defended him fiercely, celebrated his victories as their own, and ensured his voice was always heard, even when the mainstream media tried to silence it. This unique bond between artist and fan became a testament to the power of authentic connection in an industry often driven by manufactured hype. As he began to mature, so did his music. The themes started to shift. He began reflecting on fatherhood, on the immense weight of responsibility, on his own mental health, and the disorienting nature of fame. His lyrics evolved, but they remained deeply rooted in that core honesty that had defined him from the start. Visually, his world remained consistent, with familiar environments and a strong presence of black side characters who supported the narrative around his story. This visual continuity grounded his evolution, showing that even as he grew, he never lost touch with where he came from. He was grappling with complex adult realities, and he brought his audience along with him on that journey. His art became a public diary of his growth, a raw and unfiltered look at a young man trying to find his way under the brightest of spotlights. Through this process, YoungBoy became living proof of a powerful truth. Pain does not erase potential. Trauma does not eliminate talent. And even the most troubled beginnings can grow into powerful, inspiring legacies. He showed the world that it is possible to carry deep wounds and still create something beautiful and impactful. He demonstrated that vulnerability isn't a weakness, but a source of incredible strength and connection. His journey challenged the neat, clean narratives that society often prefers. It was messy, it was complicated, but it was real. He forced a conversation about the cycles of poverty, trauma, and the justice system, not through preaching, but simply by living his life and documenting it through his music. He became an icon for anyone who had ever been counted out or misunderstood. And now, as the world watches his next chapter unfold, he stands as something more than just a rapper. He is a force of culture, a generational voice shaped by struggle, strengthened by truth, and defined by a journey that continues to influence millions across the world. He has navigated a path filled with obstacles that would have broken most people, and he has done so on his own terms. He has built an empire from the ground up, fueled by a relentless drive and an unwavering commitment to his own artistic vision. His impact goes beyond music. It's about a mindset, an attitude of defiance and perseverance in the face of overwhelming odds. He represents a new kind of superstar, one who doesn't need the industry's approval to reach the highest peaks. His story is far from finished. In fact, it feels like a new, more intentional phase is just beginning. But the impact he has already made is undeniable, unshakable, and etched deeply into the evolution of modern rap. He has changed the sound, the style, and the very definition of what it means to be a successful artist in the 21st century. He has opened doors for others and proven that authenticity is the most valuable currency an artist can possess. Whether you're a longtime fan or just discovering his story, it's impossible to ignore the mark he has made. He is a testament to the enduring power of a true, unfiltered voice, and the world will be listening to see what he has to say next. Thank you for watching. If you want to explore more stories about the artists shaping our culture, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss an update. We appreciate you being here. See you in the next one.
Another chapter reclaimed, another piece of history placed back where it belongs. If you have found any meaning in this, let it sit with you. Let it sharpen your vision, not just for the past, but for who we are becoming. I'm OG Mooney, and this is AI Legacy Lab. Honoring truth, protecting legacy, one story at a time. Until next time, stay curious.